Hello and welcome to our series of Blackboard Learn trainings. Today we're going to be looking at assessments and how we can use those and really benefit from using the features within Blackboard Learn. So first things first, let's create a spot for assessments. So what I'll do is I'll come up to our trusty plus sign up on the top left of the screen, and I'm going to add a content area. I'm just going to title it quizzes/exams. Okay, I'm going to make it available to the users, and then go ahead and submit that. You'll see that we have it right down here. Now, building an assessment, you come over here to your Assessments tab, and I'm going to build a test. So if you have an already existing test, you can, click on it, submit, and it'll use the questions that are in that test. However, if you want a new one, we're going to go ahead and click on Create, and that's what we'll be doing today. So the name, I'll just title it, Test 1. I'm going to put something in the description and something in the instructions, just so you can see where they populate and what your students will see. Generally, you'll only need to use one of these, either the description or the instructions. So now, let's get into creating questions. Now, you'll see that there are a lot of different question types. There's calculated formula, either or, there's essays, there's fill in multiple blanks, hotspots, all that. But I'm going to show you the two that we see most often and that will probably be the most useful to you. So the first one is multiple choice. Let's go ahead and click on multiple choice. I'm just going to title the question number 1. And what I'll do here is I'll paste a question. So which UNM-Valencia department or departments is/are awesome? And let's see, my first answer, how about the good old Teaching and Learning Center? Right, we do okay. Next up, STEM, and then nursing, and then all of the above. So I'll go ahead and mark the correct answer by filling in this little bubble. So they will get full credit if they pick all of the above. However, you are allowed to offer partial credit. If you want to do that, you have to make sure to click this little box. And the partial credit is in percentage, or is a percentage. So it will be based on however many points your question is worth. I believe that Blackboard Learn by default makes the question worth 10 points. So say I wanted to give them 25%, right, for this question, they would get 2.5 points. Okay? So as far as feedback is concerned, you can list some or give them some information when they put in the correct response. So if they picked all of the above, you could give them some feedback like, yes, good job, something like that. Or you can give them a really detailed explanation of why they got it right and maybe remind them of some key points or key concepts that you want them to remember as they answered this question. Incorrect response feedback, you could give them, say, a hint that may lead them in the right direction if they have multiple opportunities to take the test. So you'll see here, visit each department for the incorrect response feedback. So that's all up to you. Now, one of the other things you want to look out for is when you're all done here, when you're done, you can submit or you can submit and create another. So if you're wanting to create another multiple choice question, you go ahead and submit and create another, and that'll work for you. However, if by mistake or if you want a different type of question and you hit submit, getting back there or creating another question might sometimes be hard. Or if you exit the Blackboard Learn, it might sometimes be hard. So I'm going to come back. I'm just going to change here. I'm going to go to modules, and then I'm going to come back to quizzes and exams. And I'm going to say, oh my goodness, everything's blank. What happened, right? But don't worry. We're just going to go to assessments. We're going to go to test. And I'm going to hit test 3. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And in test 3, you're like, well, how do I add more questions? What am I doing? What's going on? Don't worry again. We just go ahead and submit. Once that's submitted, we come here to our trusty arrow and go to edit test, or edit the test rather. You'll see here that I'm brought to that original page. So the only other thing that I'd like to show you here as far as creating questions is the short answer. So I'll just title it question 2. Question text, please describe your experience at UNM-VC, or tell us how awesome it is. And the answer, so look here. Enter an answer to provide an example of a correct response. You can fill this out or you can leave it blank. This is a good idea to fill out though, in case they do miss it. That way you can tell them what exactly you wanted, especially in an online class where you don't have kind of a class period to go over the test and say, this is what I was looking for, this is why you missed it. And you won't have a lot of people emailing you asking, why did I miss that one? What did you want? So if you provide that example here, that's always a good idea, okay? We'll probably do something on rubrics in the future, but we're not going to worry about rubrics now. Instructor notes are just notes to yourself about what you're doing in the test or about this specific question. I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And you'll see that I have all these questions, right? Now, one other thing is this arrow. This is your best friend because this allows you to edit things. Say you mark something wrong, you can go in, you can edit the test here. You can edit the question text, you can edit the correct answers, you can alter how many answers you can provide. So, if you want to make a multiple choice with 23 possible answers, you're just cruel, but you can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that one again. And finally, what I'd like to do is I'd like to come out of here again, go back, and then I'm going to edit the test options. Okay? Editing the test options allows you to alter the description and the test instructions if you want. When you make it available, you can either allow multiple attempts or just have them take it once, which is the default. But I'm usually pretty nice. I'd let them take it once, and then, or I'd let them take it once to kind of get a feel of how I test, and then they can go back at it again. Obviously up to your discretion. You can force complete them. That means that whenever they are in the test, they have to finish, otherwise they'll not be able to open the test again. So that's kind of a bummer, especially if something happens, the internet goes out or there's a power outage or somebody trips over their laptop cord or Ethernet cord. There's a lot of things that you'll hear from students. If you don't want the emails, if you don't want people asking you to open the test again, I would just leave that blank. As far as setting a timer, you can go ahead and set a timer for your test. 60 minutes is an hour. You can have it auto submit after the timer has gone off. So you can read these here. Look at this. Off. The user is given the option to continue after time expires, or the test will save and submit automatically when time expires. I generally like to turn this on, but I do alter the time, and I give them a little bit more time than they probably need, but I will put that auto submit on. Now, display after and display until. Generally, you want to display after. Display after means on the day or after that day, this is when it will be displayed from. Now you want to display it until probably, whenever it's due. Otherwise, you'll have people trying to take it when it's not due, and that wouldn't be fun for anybody, right? Password, I wouldn't worry about passwords if you wanted to make it super top secret for some reason, or you could do that, but it's kind of a pain in the neck and you'll have students emailing you. The due date, you should probably set a due date for the assignment. It'll be in the course or the test information there. That's always good to have. Due date, I'm going to change it here. You'll see this little calendar. It's pretty neat. I'll just pick a random date. Whoops, that's back in time, sorry. At 11:59 p.m., that's usually what people do, and that's the default. You don't want people taking the test if the test is past due, right? So go ahead and click that. Now this is going to be, you won't really have to worry about most of this stuff. As far as showing feedback to students, you can show them, after their submission, on a specific date or a one-time view. You can show them just their score. You can show them the answers. You can show them the ones they got correct or the ones submitted. Listing if you can, or listing the feedback you may have provided, whether it be positive feedback if they got it right or negative feedback if they got it wrong. These are all up to you, and it's going to be at your discretion, obviously. So one of the other things I like to do personally is I like to randomize the questions. So each time, or I like to randomize the questions, especially when they can take it multiple times. Otherwise, they just, kind of speed through it when they know all of the questions, boom, boom, boom. This allows them to kind of slow down, think about some of their questions, and really take their time doing the test. Also, it prevents cheating a little bit because, people taking the test at the same time right next to each other won't have the same question at the same time. So that's something to think about as well. So I'll go ahead and submit that. And you know what? That should be it as far as assessment. Stay tuned for our Respondus video coming at you soon. And I hope this helped.